Good morning. And today we're going to be discussing what's going to happen in Trump's first term. What are his plans? Particularly, we're going to focus on Ukraine. Um, it's kind of a weird situation here. I'm old enough to remember the Republicans of the early 2000s. I was one of them. In fact, I was very supportive of most of them. But looking back, the Democrats had a pretty fair criticism. They were mostly warmongers. I mean, the Democrats were too, but just a little less, if that makes any sense. Trump has been an old school Democrat pretty much since the beginning. He hasn't really changed a whole lot. He's for the free market, but he also is for the people. He got more union support than any Republican I've ever seen, which is saying something because I don't really think he supports unions all that much. He really just trusts the free market to solve those kind of problems. In a free market, if you want to unionize, I think you should be able to because, well, I mean, it's a free country. If you want to form a union and then everyone says we're going to quit or strike, then that's your own thing. I don't think it's a good thing for people to be forced to join a union. I don't think that's very fair, but that's another topic. Anyway, so I was going to talk about Ukraine here for a second, so let me get over to Ukraine right here. So, as you can see, this is a map of Ukraine here. Russia controls pretty much from this river down to the Sea of Azov. I could be mispronouncing that. I'm sorry for the people who speak Russian out there, or is it Cyrillic? I don't know. And most of this area here, the Donbass regions, these areas over here, are pretty much all controlled by Russia right now. And they kind of were before the war. And if you really think about it, Russia already had very strong support in this area. These are all basically, runaway provinces of Ukraine. They were still technically part of Ukraine at the time, but they weren't really listening a whole lot. And that's usually how these kind of things start. I'm honestly very surprised Russia didn't win this on day one. This should have been a slam dunk. Any fears that people have that Russia is going to invade America or they're a real threat to the world, other than their nukes, they are honestly nothing to worry about. I worry more about China than I ever will about Russia. Russia can't win this war. I don't think it's possible. Without a nuclear weapon, as long as Ukraine still keeps fighting, Russia can't win. It's not possible. So but Ukraine, by itself, with just money and weapons, does not have the manpower to take these areas back. It can't go back in over here. So, what's Trump going to do? Now, he's talked to both sides, and both sides like him. Pretty much. I can't speak for Trump, but I can speak on behalf of a guy who is in business and understands how to make a deal. Trump is likely to go in and negotiate, and basically the territory that is currently occupied by Russia will stay Russian. I would probably say that Russia will be forced to pay Ukraine for these areas. So Ukraine will be paid probably pretty handsomely for all these areas here. It's gonna hurt Ukraine. I know it kind of sucks. I mean, no one wants to see their country lose 20% of their land, but that's what's gonna happen. Ukraine's not gonna be able to win this. They just can't, and they all know it. We know it too. So Trump's going to give this land to Russia, at least in my opinion. That's what I think he's going to do. And Ukraine's going to be okay with it because Russia's going to pay them a lot of money for it. That's the plan. I don't think anything other than that's going to happen. Ukraine's not going to negotiate and get their original borders back. They're never going to get Crimea, no matter what happens. That's gone. And honestly, would you even want it? If you think about it, Russia's been here for years now. These areas have been pretty much under Russian control for a long time, even before the war. So, if you were to suddenly take them back, do you really think the Russians are just going to leave? You really think they're not going to put spies everywhere here, undermine your ability to run these places, and just be a sore loser? No, you're not getting this back. It's short of you marching through and pushing through militarily. You're never going to negotiate this back to a place where you want it to be. It's not going to be beneficial to the country. There's just no way. That's honestly the problem. And honestly, this area over here, I can't even pronounce it. There's a slight area between the river here and Ukraine that is not really wanted by Moldova and not really wanted by Ukraine. This little area of Russian, and it's controlled by Russia pretty much. This little spot right here. I'd like to see something happen with this. This is weird. It doesn't make any sense. If I was Russia, I would argue for this. It would be weird, but also Russia could militarize it, and then they would have Ukraine in a chokehold. But that only happened during peace because Ukraine controls the entrance to the river here that they would actually have to ship goods through. Yeah. So that's what I think. I don't think Trump's going to be able to negotiate to the original land borders. I mean, over here, Ukraine has taken some Russian territory. I doubt they're going to hold on to it much longer. I'm surprised they've had it as long as they have. There is no world where Russia negotiates and loses territory in any way, shape, or form. Even if they gain all of this, they're never losing anything that Ukraine takes. That's just not going to happen. And the sad thing is, it's because Russia has nuclear weapons. There's a reason why the United States invaded Iraq and not Iran. We pretty much are scared that Iran has nuclear weapons, and, well, Iran has a very bad geography as well, which makes it very difficult to invade. But that's another video. Yeah. That's what I think is going to happen with Ukraine. Now, with Israel, that's the next thing. Israel is honestly in a worse spot. You don't really know what's going to happen. Let me see if I can find a map of it. Let's see here. One moment here. Sorry, guys. And there we go. Now, Israel is its own little problem. As you can tell, Israel is divided. Now, Israel effectively controls the West Bank. This area here is effectively Israel. They, I don't know why, they always show it as dashed and, not under control. It's like, oh, well, this is like, they invaded. It's basically the same thing with Crimea and Russia. They don't own it. Yeah, they do. If you can if you can march your troops down from Main Street anytime you want, and you can collect taxes and divide up land and control foreign affairs, this is your territory. I know there's like a whole lot of political reasons why you can't say that, but this is their territory. They've effectively got this, and there's a lot of Jewish people that live over here. I think a third or fourth of the population over here is Jewish now. They've been moving people in for decades. Now, the Gaza Strip, which is where the war really is, this is an area where Israel never really has much control. Egypt doesn't want it, and I don't think Israel wants it. They're highly densely populated, about 1 million people, maybe a little less now. And right now, Israel's cut it in half. This northern section, effectively empty. They're pushing everybody out. And a lot of people have an issue with Israel doing this. I don't. If somebody did that, if the people in the Gaza Strip did that to Americans, what they did on October 7th, yeah, I'd be right there with the government with pushing everybody out and being like, you know what, you guys are a bunch of terrorists. I mean, you can't attack a concert and say you're the good guys and kidnap a bunch of people and do countless things I can't even say on YouTube and say, oh, well, we're the good guys. No, you're not. You're the bad guys, and we all know it. I don't know how the Democrats side with these people. They have nothing in common with the Democrats at all. These people here don't share your values. They don't share your freedoms. They don't share anything with you. They're definitely not pro-LGBTQ, whatever they are these days. These guys would not tolerate any of that. Everyone's like, oh, they don't like Christians because Christians are intolerant. Christians don't care, to an effect, what you do. We'll tell you that you're wrong and be like, you probably shouldn't do that. But that's about it. Oh, no, they don't agree with me. That's bigotry to you? Someone not agreeing with you and your life choices? You're going to find that no matter where you go. But anyway, what is Trump going to do with Israel? Honestly, Israel can fight its own battles. I don't think Trump really needs to get involved, and I don't think Trump wants to get involved. Trump will probably keep the status quo. Israel buys a lot of weapons from the United States. It's sort of like they're subsidized to an extent. Israel gets basically we give them a loan for military equipment. We say, here's I'm not giving you real numbers. I haven't looked them up honestly in a little while, but let's say we give them $50 billion in loans for their military. The stipulation for that loan is that most of that money has to go to an American corporation, and it has to purchase American-made military equipment. It's really just, it's almost like a handout to our own military-industrial complex. Is it good or bad? I'm not sure. Israel probably could manufacture a lot of these things themselves. So really, I don't think it's really as much of a handout to Israel as people think it is. I think it's more of a handout to ourselves. Because Israel is its own manufacturing powerhouse. They have significant domestic arms manufacturing facilities and industry. A lot of weapons they manufacture, we use here in our American military. So I don't see that changing. It's too important. They do make a lot of good stuff, and America's not going to just say, well, we're not going to trade with them anymore. And, I don't think Trump's going to be really pro or against Israel in any way. He's not going to be super pro there either. So I think what Trump's going to do, if he was to get involved, which I don't think he will, is he's probably going to push for making Gaza a sovereign territory. This is the one place Israel can't go and do whatever they want is Gaza. They never send troops down Main Street. They don't collect taxes. They don't do any of that stuff here. This is its own area. The only thing they have done is blockade them. They've been under a trade embargo and blockade for a long time. They have no way of shipping goods in or out. You don't really fly out of Gaza. I don't even know if there's an airport there. I think they're going to probably cut it here. It's going to be a demilitarized zone right here, the northern area that they've already cleared out. And that's this area here. They're going to either push to be independent. You would think Egypt would just take it and be like, we'll take control of it. Egypt's not. They don't want it, which says something. You have a Muslim population here, a Muslim-dominant country, and Egypt says, we're good. Yeah, that says everything you need to know. They don't trust this area. They think it's bad, and they're afraid that they're afraid of spillover. They have a highly controlled border right here between Egypt and the Gaza Strip. They're not messing around either. They're just as fortified as the Israeli side, maybe even a little more. Egypt prefers to be in control of their own territory, and if these guys get across, they're not going to be playing nice. It'll just be another terror cell in the Sinai. So what Israel is going to do is, I say, if Trump gets involved, he's going to push for demilitarization here, control given back to Israel, and what's left of this area here is given international status as its own sovereign nation. Nothing's going to happen with the West Bank. Israel's playing the long game with that, and they're going to probably win that game. I think eventually you'll see West Bank being incorporated into the greater part of Israel as own part of its territory. It is part of a territory technically, but it's not really incorporated as far as voting and things like that. They don't really participate in most of these things, at least not the Muslim population. Which is weird because Israel is a mixed country. It's not just all Jewish people. There's a significant Muslim population. Israel's hoping to basically change the demographics here. That's why they move Jewish people here. They're trying to change the demographics to the point where when they do formally incorporate it, that it's no different than the rest of Israel. It's a sound strategy. It does work. It has historical backing. It's going to probably work. Yeah, Nazareth. Yeah, that's where Jesus is from. All right, anyway. So that's what I think Trump's going to do with Israel and Ukraine. His first term was pretty good. I was not a Trump supporter the first term. I voted for him. I mean, who wouldn't? He's running against Hillary Clinton. I mean, you either have her or him, and he was slightly better. Pretty much the unknown that I thought he was. And I was like, well, I'll give him the best shot and see what he does. And he surprised me. By 2019, I was on board. I was like, wow, this guy is doing a great job. The economy was roaring. I was seeing numbers that I didn't think were possible. In school, we were taught that having unemployment as low as he had it was bad, and it wasn't. It really made me question a lot of things. We're taught in schools that inflation rates should never dip below zero. So basically, you never have deflation. Trump was his inflation rate was really low, one of the lowest we've had in a long time, and it made me question whether or not a little bit of deflation was good or bad. Now, it's economics to say that deflation is a good thing, but it really isn't. I think that a slight bit of deflation might be good, and I'm saying 1% or less. I think might be a good thing for us for right now. Not forever. I still kind of subscribe to the theory that modern economists say that it's bad. But I think right now, considering how much inflation we've had, a little bit of deflation wouldn't hurt. It really hurts the rich people. That's why they're scared of it. The average consumer, prices go down at the supermarket. That's great. Prices go down in real estate. Well, that's a little worse. And that's why they're scared of it. Major investments, major purchases, things that cost millions of dollars suddenly dropping in value, that's bad because these people own those things, and if suddenly they're worth less, well, they're worth less. And if you value yourself based on how much money and influence and net worth you have, then yeah, you're not going to like that. That's not going to be good for you. So that's my theory on it. I could be wrong. It's a, intellectual theory, so who knows. I'm curious to see what Trump does. I think he's going to do a good job. Everyone's scared of, Trump's this dictator. He's going to take over the world. He didn't do it the first time, so what are you scared of now? I mean, really, the guy was a pretty good president. I mean, you may disagree with some of his stuff, but, he never really did a whole lot that was going to really destroy the system. As much as he probably needs to. And I think this time around he may destroy some of the government systems in place. But I don't really think that anything crazy is going to happen. Yeah, of course I say that and I make a video about it and then the world falls apart next year. Who knows? But yeah, we'll make a video then too. Well, if there's still internet. Who knows? Yeah. I'm looking forward to a Trump presidency. I think it's going to be good. I really think it's going to be a good year next year, and I think things are just going to start finally improving. Yeah, I know a lot of the LGBTQ people out there are terrified of Trump. What are you terrified of? What happened in the first term that really was bad for you? And it's an honest question. Did he pass a law that prevented you from doing something? Did he say you can't do that? I can't think of anything other than maybe his transgender military ban, which honestly kind of makes a little bit of sense. Although I don't think he's going to do it this time around. I don't really think he cares. He thinks it's such a small problem that it doesn't warrant his attention. I don't know why people say he's anti-gay. The man literally had a gay wedding at his house earlier this year. I'm like, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not that way. I'm a Christian, so I can't be for that. But he did. So if you're scared of him, I mean, look at what he does. If he's willing to host a gay wedding at Mar-a-Lago, then I don't really think there's anything to worry about. When was that actually? Let me take a look. I don't actually think he was present for it. Newsweek reports that Donald Trump faced criticism from some conservatives after his Florida estate Mar-a-Lago hosted a same-sex marriage. Yeah. Trump doesn't care. Honestly, I don't think Trump cares about a whole lot of social issues as long as you're leaving people alone. I don't really think he cares. If you're not telling somebody what to do, then Trump's not going to get involved. It's when you start telling other people you can't do this or you can't do that or you can't say that. He's not a fan of that. He's an old school guy. He prefers freedom, which is sad to say that it's an old school idea, but it's a good idea. So if you're scared of Trump and you're gay, I don't think you have anything to worry about. In fact, Trump actually appointed one of the highest ranking members of cabinet. I think the Secretary of the Treasury is gay, I believe. At least the appointee for it. Treasury. Yeah, and then let's see. Washington Blade reports Trump nominates gay man for Treasury Secretary. Yeah, openly gay hedge fund executive Scott Bessent. Sorry if I'm butchering your last name. Appointed him as Secretary of Treasury. Now, his appointee, actually, I'm not concerned that he's gay. I'm concerned that he's a billionaire, apparently. So I'm curious whether or not there's some misdeeds going on there. If a Democrat did it, I would be going, that's kind of weird. Why you appoint a rich guy to be Treasury Secretary? So, but hey, maybe the guy is a great guy and knows his stuff. I hope for that. But him being gay, I don't think that affects the economy. Yeah, I don't see how that does anything. I mean, I may not agree with his lifestyle, but I don't agree with a lot of people's lifestyles. Who cares? It's not between me and them. It's between God and them. They can figure all that out. And honestly, I think there are some people out there who are a little confused about that because they're like, Trump's supposed to hate these people, and then why does he appoint them in such high positions? Maybe Trump doesn't care what you do in the bedroom as long as what you do in the boardroom is a good thing. It's crazy. Who would have thought that doing a good job is what Trump cares about? But anyway, I've been talking a little bit too long. I do actually have to get to work. Sorry for the mess behind me. It's kind of we've been filming a lot for the other channel, and I got everything just kind of piled into this room. Yeah. But have a Merry Christmas, and I'll be back maybe before the New Year, and if not, have a Happy New Year.